My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast. It's New Year's, well, almost New Year's Eve when we're recording this.
Yes, and we thought, because 2020 has been such a downer, let's try and end on a positive note.
Well, the most positive thing that happened, literally the most positive thing that happened on Twitter was Junior MasterChef.
Absolutely.
And
TV. It happened on the TV too.
And
mostly the TV.
The leading lights for us. In general, but especially I sang a couple of songs.
Okay, all
right. So the leading lights for us, ladies and gentlemen, Vienna and Laura.
Hi.
Hey.
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to officially, outside of Elena Duggan's, newborn, the youngest people we've ever had on the podcast. So, how are we going, ladies?
We're good, yeah.
Good. Excellent. And have you recovered from having to cook all the Christmas dinner this year?
No. Oh, no.
Division already.
So, I had to do 3 consecutive days of Christmas meals, and I still have New Year's Eve parties and stuff like that to cook for as well.
See, this would be the problem. Like, everyone's seeing you on TV, so you can't get to go, look, I'm not really up to this. They're like, we watched you cook.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically an order, though.
How was your Christmas cooking, Vienna?
Yeah, I was on dessert, and I only had to do it for one day, so it was a little bit easier. But yeah, we're now prepping for New Year's Eve parties.
Oh, fantastic! So, what did you make for dessert, Vienna?
I made, in a jar, a chocolate mousse, gingerbread crumb, and some cherries with custard and a cinnamon ice cream, which is very funny because on the day of Christmas, I looked on my phone on Laura's Instagram account and I noticed she'd made almost the exact same thing.
So I could not believe that this happened. I saw a photo of Vienna's and I made chocolate mousse with a cherry compote and gingerbread crumb, and I was like, there is no way.
Yeah, there's literally it's the exact same dish almost.
I can't even believe that they were so similar. It was freaky almost.
Did you set yourself a time limit? Was there
The funniest part about it was it then became an ice cream off. And they had Andy just ringing in going, oh, is this an ice cream off?
Just Jock knocking on the door.
Oh, yeah, he would eat everything.
Yes, hello, we'd like to taste that now. No one else can taste it just yet.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, since the show, obviously, it's probably brought your food skills and abilities to a lot more people that were around you that may not have necessarily known.
Yeah, exactly.
How much more has this sort of led to people going, well, if you could just make insert thing here. So have you both had that? So people just randomly now going, oh, you can just whip that up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, before I left to go on MasterChef, I had just started my own cake business and cake decorating, catering and stuff like that. And as soon as I got back, I've had so many orders coming from all areas, so many people asking me to make meals for them and cakes and cupcakes and Christmas stuff and meals and parties, and it was just crazy. I got so many new people asking me for stuff.
Oh, fantastic. So you're not going back to school next year?
I've been flat out.
What about for you, Vienna?
Well, yeah, a lot of people have just been asking me about cooking and at school and everyone, but it's actually quite funny. We went to my cousin's house for one of my cousin's birthdays, and my uncle was cooking on the barbecue, and he goes, can you stop watching me? I feel really nervous with you on MasterChef, watching me cook. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
You're judging everybody now.
You're just taking on a bit of a Melissa Leon persona,
I was just observing, and he was freaking out.
Is that the way that I would do? I mean, are you sure? Is that the...
you could improve.
Yeah. Are you forgetting a step? Are you forgetting a step? So, which itself would be absolutely hilarious if you're just sort of walking around. I would be doing that. If it was me, I would be walking around just standing there casually over the top of breakfast cereal in the morning. I'm just standing there going, are you sure you've got everything for that?
Do you still have home economics at school, food tech? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you now critiquing the teachers?
Well, the first day I got back, I think it was my first cooking class after MasterChef, my teacher So like we usually do like a demo one day where the teacher shows us how to do something, and then the next day we do a prac where we make the meal, and then another theory lesson, and it was the demo day. And my teacher came up to me, we were lining up outside, and she was like, oh, so we're going to get Laura and she's going to do the demonstration for everybody. And I was just like, sure. I was like, okay. It's like an added amount of pressure, but that's fine.
You're like, sure, if this is the guaranteed automatic great report.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take it.
You can go, I'll waive my appearance fee.
My appearance fee is grades. And I mean, also that's something what you mentioned about the cake business, something that you have in common, of course, with a certain previous winner of MasterChef, very recent winner of MasterChef, Melia, who finished. And the reason we had her on the podcast during your series, and the reason it took her so long, was she got out and immediately everyone ordered cakes because she just set the cake business up before she went in. So parallels. So let's get into a couple of things, and we'll start with you, Laura, and we'll start with the restaurant. So how's it going?
Good.
Uber Eats is a thing.
Okay.
So that the restaurant idea, sort of how long have you sort of had that concept?
Well, in grade 4, we had to do passion projects, which is one of our assessment, and we were basically allowed to choose any topic of our choice, and I chose cooking as my topic. Amazing. And I think that was the year I decided that I wanted to own my own restaurant. I made a whole speech about the restaurant and how I've designed like menus and logos and like floor plans of where all the tables are going to be. And I tried to work out costs and stuff when I was like 8, but that didn't really work. And then like I made a contract for my little brother to sign to make sure that he had to work for me. Like he had to. It's in paper now, so he can't like take that back anymore.
I love that.
He signed a definitely legit contract. So yeah.
It's 100% legal.
Yeah, definitely. Sure.
Verified by the dog, just to
we can verify all of these things.
Yes.
It's illegal. That's a legally binding contract. See, when I was, around that age, I had an idea for a cafe at the front of my house. I didn't get to floor plans.
No.
I just went, there'll be a cafe there. And what are you going to do? Food? What sort of food? I don't know. Whatever, not really. And like floor plans is insane.
See, at that age, my cousin and I, we had a deal. I was going to be a doctor and she's going to be an ambulance driver. She was going to go around and get me patients. And then bring them to me, and then we'd split the cost. I don't know how she planned to get the patient.
That's not how medicine works.
No.
Just putting that out there.
No. And Vienna.
Yes.
Where is this taking you? Like, has your future kind of opened up, or are you now kind of focused on one thing, or you like put that to rest for now? I've got, I don't know, like life to live.
Well, I've never really had one thing and like stuck to it. I remember when I was in 4-year-old kindergarten, I wanted to be the queen. A slightly unrealistic dream. And then I wanted to be a singer, and then I wanted to be a vet. And now I can't really decide if I want to like own a dessert bar or a restaurant, or if I want to be a zoologist. Like I'm not planned like Laura.
Yeah, the profile. I did like the two extremes on the profile on the MasterChef page, junior page, which was zoology and veterinarian or food.
Now you're going to be doing buffets, but for animals, like you'll study a certain animal and then create this whole beautiful degustation menu for orangutans.
Yes. That is an idea.
It's yours. Keep it.
So I will dress as an orangutan and I will sneak in.
So when you went on to the show, now we've talked a lot in other series of MasterChef. We've talked a lot about the younger people coming onto those series of MasterChef. And it's weird because when the show first started, everyone was sort of working out what it was. Whereas when you get people who are 18, 19, 20, they're coming through and they've got a lot more of an idea and they've grown up with it. Then we get to you guys who really only know a world of MasterChef.
Yeah.
Do you sort of feel like just watching the show all the way along, do you think it gave you sort of adequate expectations of what you were going to see?
Well, yeah, I would, because I'm pretty sure the first season came out when I was like 2 or 3 or something. So
I looked it
I
up.
watched every season, and I think that's probably one of the main reasons, like, that I love to cook, and watching MasterChef and watching what they do has helped me like kind of develop a more gourmet sort of style.
Yes.
Yeah, I reckon like that's the same as me. Like ever since I was little, I've like continuously watched the show. And so I reckon that's where I got most of my cooking from, like the reason why I'm cooking, and like all of the like techniques and tips and tricks that I learned along the way have definitely like, that's the reason why I cook. Like they've taught me everything. Like I've learned majority of my skills from watching MasterChef. So I think that's really cool, and like growing up and like seeing everything as well, and seeing it in real life for the first time as well. It was like really cool.
Yeah, it was so weird going in there, and it's like, we've watched this on TV, and then we're literally walking through the MasterChef garden, and now we're literally in the MasterChef kitchen, and we're like behind the scenes. It was really like crazy.
Was it bigger or smaller, or the size you expected it to be? Like that's kind of my first thought of is, because on TV it looks massive. So.
It's pretty big, yeah.
Yeah, it is quite big. I reckon it's what I thought it would be. Like it's not heaps smaller than I thought it was. Definitely not smaller. But like it is a big building in itself, so I don't think you can expect it to be much bigger than it already is.
I mean, the only thing,
like a warehouse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the only thing that I was disappointed with in the whole series was the fact that there was no Vespa. And you know, we've made a lot of the point on the podcast about the Vespa. We got to episode 1 and it's a bicycle, and then it works. I understand, but no Vespa. Did you happen to spot the Vespa anywhere? Was there?
We actually remember for the honey, we had to go all the way around.
We had to walk.
We saw it. We walked past this other just random factory with huge windows, and we saw
and had stuff inside. They had like a storage.
Yep.
A storage like massive building where I think they have like for all the service challenges, like all the tables and chairs and tents and stuff. There was like a storage place, and we had to walk all the way around.
Yeah, because there were bees.
The room of requirement in MasterChef.
We've suggested for a while now that, like, for what MasterChef should do to help fund itself is deliveries. And you've got a Vespa. Just
or Jock could just ride the bicycle. Jock could just drop everything off. Or Melissa in her high heels doing it too.
She'd power through. Absolutely.
She'd do it back with high heels. Like
so when you all sort of went in there, how did you sort of find everyone else's skill level? Like when you went in there, was it what you were expecting everyone else to be from like day one? Because I can say from an audience perspective, there had been in previous years, there'd been a bit of, MasterChef Junior, what's this going to be like? This year, from the first promo, everyone's like, no, this is going to be really good. And the first episode, and you would have heard some of the feedback, Twitter went nuts about, I can't believe they're cooking this in the first episode. This is insane. Was that sort of your take from being in there?
Well, yeah, because I've watched the first seasons of Junior MasterChef, and obviously that's from 10 years ago, and cooking just in general style has
changed,
modernized, and become a lot more gourmet. So, you know, I'm watching season 1 of Junior MasterChef thinking, oh, if this is kind of like what I'm up against, I'm going to do really well. And then I come in and I realize that everyone else has like come forward with the times along with me. And I'm like, oh, well, I was given false expectations.
I think coming into it, I was scared that everyone was going to be like fancy little private chefs who like own restaurants at the age of 6 or something. Like I was scared they were going to be like so fancy and everything. But as soon as I met them all, they're all so like nice and lovely, and we're all like the exact same person in different forms. Like we're all so similar, and it was so cool to talk to them about like food. Like when I talk to my friends about food, they nod along and like semi understand what I'm talking about and like just pretend that they get it. But then like talking to everyone else over there, they just understand. Like you can talk to them about food for ages, and then
you walked in and the first thing you said was, where's your floor pan? Like, can we compare? Because I've got a problem here. Just when you get past the pass and service, I've got a table. It's not quite sitting. What have you got? Philo, what have you got? What's your setup like? Again, so and that was sort of indicative when we watched the show. The first thing that popped up to everyone was when they're watching all of your skills in the start, and they say things to Philo like, how often do you cook lobster? Laughing, and he goes, "Oh, once a week."
I know. I was at the audition and he was a couple rows in front of me. And I was just like, cooking my granita, like, it's not too difficult, And then I look up and I see this kid pull out lobster out of a pot. And I looked up to my mum. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. How can I compete against this? I was freaking out. I was like, this kid is cooking lobster and I'm making mousse. Like, how does that work? That scared me a little bit.
Did he actually
Did you bring him?
Yeah, I was going to say, did he actually cook you guys lobster after all of that?
No.
Owes you. All right, Philo,
you're owed.
You're owed.
So, in terms of when you went in there, did you have dishes in mind that you were preparing to cook, or was it more a case of, I've got a rough idea of some skills and I'm sort of going to wing the rest of it? What was your mentality, Vienna? What was your mentality going in at the start?
Well, I guess before Junior Master Chef, like when I was top 24, we were cooking and learning new skills every day and like perfecting everything so that at any second it's like, oh, you need to cook a dish with passion fruit. I can easily change it to be how I want it. But I didn't really have that many solid dishes planned except for like my lemon tart. And yeah, that was pretty much the only solid dish I had going in.
Fair enough. And what when you got into the kitchen, after a while, what did you surprise yourself with? Like, going, oh, I can do that.
I guess I was up against all these people that like were amazing, and when I actually like presented something and the judges like loved it, I was like, oh, like it's really great, because I didn't really expect to do that amazing when I'm around all these amazing other people. But I kind of just surprised myself every time, and the judges, I'm bringing my dish up, I'm like, oh my God, they're not gonna like it. And the judges say they love it, and I'm like, wow, that's great.
Because I guess it must be such a challenge mentally going into MasterChef, having a bit of that, imposter syndrome, thinking, how did I get here? It's all so surreal. How did you help yourself like stay as calm as possible in those situations and deal with the highs and lows of, or the rocky moments?
It was pretty hard, to be honest. Like, walking out at the start of the day, the judges saying, oh, this is what we're doing today. Like, you've got to cook a noodle dish, whatever. That's so nerve-wracking. And I think you just use your nerves to cook well. You don't really calm down. You just kind of channel your nervousness.
Run with it. And as for you, Laura, how many dishes from the menu did you come in prepared with?
I mean, obviously, because I've grown up watching this show, I've had so many dishes that I've worked over the years and tried to perfect them. Like, I've had a dish since I was 8 that I've been working on ever since, and trying to perfect it, make it so much better. So I had a few dishes like that which I definitely wanted to pull off in the competition. Like I had a few because I was growing up and watching MasterChef. They made lots of panna cottas, and I really wanted to make a chocolate panna cotta, and I made 30 for my class when I was in year 4 for my project. And so that's been a dish that I've tried to perfect ever since. So I definitely had a few like that, which I kind of was hopeful that I would pull them off in the competition. I didn't get a chance to do all of them because of the challenges that we got set. But I think because we practice so much, like Vienna said, we would kind of practice a variety of things and just pick, like when we found out the challenge, just pick different ideas and elements that you can change to whatever flavor you need to use in your dish, which I found that very helpful. But yeah, so I think it was just a matter of like experimenting and trying new things to come up with dishes and stuff.
And it was really interesting from our perspective, for me in particular, because there's been things on MasterChef for years that have sort of sent me into a mini meltdown. So spheres. I'm looking at you, Vienna.
Matcha.
Well, matcha was.
And you guys didn't use a lot of it.
Matcha
Great.
wasn't there, which was fantastic. But we had spheres, domes, granitas, and sorbets. Now, Laura, granitas and sorbets. Now, amazingly enough, I would have devoured every bit of that winter one granita. Just saying. And the sorbet, what I loved about the sorbet was the fact that you didn't go something that was really boring and straightforward. And also it gave us the moment of the fennel sherbet. Have you done that before? And what was that like?
I mean, okay, so like with my granita, for example, like I had done a couple different flavors before with different ingredients. But I was practicing at home one day, like a couple weeks before the competition, and I had made like a lime meringue tart, and then I had leftover limes. And then so I was like, oh, I've seen granitas on MasterChef, I'm going to try a granita. And then I made it, and then it worked. I was like, well, I need something else to go with this. And then I used leftover pastry to make a crumb. And then I was like, oh, I need to balance out like the sweetness and the sour. So then I made a white chocolate mousse, and I ate it. I gave it to my parents, and then they were like, Laura, this is like really good. You have to do something like this. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just like randomly stumbled across this dish. And I think that like surprised me because I didn't expect that. I was just like using leftovers and stuff. But then like that kind of style led on to more of my dishes, like my sorbet, which was really fun to make. I love that. And that fennel sherbet as well, which kind of was so fizzy, kind of like blew my head off, but that's okay. But yeah,
that moment of you having that first taste of the sherbet was sensational. I went back over and had a bit of a look at the Twitter feed, and everyone, there's just this, we've all been Laura. It's this long feed, and we've all been there.
Like I just tasted it, and then Andy came up to me. He's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I'm fine."
Like time.
It was like fizzing in my mouth. I was like, "Okay, it's good."
So, of the challenges that they set you, what was your favourite one to attempt? Either one of you can go first.
I think Amelia's. Yeah. Because we got to stuff our faces with cake, and then sweet dishes are my favourite, and I got to pull out a dome, which was actually like almost a remake twist of something I'd already made. I'd made literally the exact same dish with milk chocolate instead of white chocolate and raspberries instead of passion fruit. So I pretty much just like flipped that on its head. And I had a lot of fun making it, and I had a lot of fun having Amelia Jackson taste my food.
Yeah.
Completely fangirling.
That's fair enough.
Like all of us in the presence of royalty like that.
Yes.
Exactly. And Laura, yours?
I would have to say the same. I still can't get over that moment when Amelia walked into the kitchen. Like, me and Vienna, who was standing in between us?
Dev, I think it was Dev.
We both, like, leaned over here and, like, looked at each other. We're like, oh, my gosh, she's here. And then they opened
I can't remember what Mel said, but it was, like, the first, because they said, like, she's walked through this door 100
They give clues?
Yeah.
But, like, on the first one, me and Laura were like,
we knew straight away.
Like, and we were
it's
like,
Amelia.
Straight away, it's Amelia.
So I think, and especially because like I was making choux pastry for like the queen of choux pastry.
Yes.
I mean, that scared me quite a bit. But I think because of the result, I think it was definitely worth it. So I really liked that challenge. It was lots of fun.
Oh,
and that was something when we spoke to Amelia. She talked about the fact that she was just amazed by all of you in terms of just the composure that everyone seemed to have, even while fangirling. The composure and sort of the patience that she saw. And that became a bit of a buzzword for everyone, was this level of composure under pressure. And also you both had similar outlooks in terms of when things weren't necessarily going brilliantly for you. I mean, there was a moment, I think Vienna, I went into great depth on the podcast about it, where it was it looked like you might be going home and you're like, well, look, if I go home on this one, I've developed some really cool stuff that I can practice and get right later on. And I'm like, no, don't say that. I would be throwing a tantrum and going, no, I'm not going home. And
you're just like junior diva chef.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, well, if I go home, I've got something to practice. was it sort of, was that sort of a way that you both approached it in terms of it's a really good learning experience and whatever happens sort of happens?
I didn't expect to make it where I made it. I was like, all right, let's audition. Oh, wow, top 24. I don't really expect I'm going to make it. And then I was like, wait, top 7. This is like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I did go out, I was like, whoa, well, that was a lot later than I thought. So I was just really like thankful for the whole experience and like thankful for making it as far as I did. So I guess I took a lot of skills away from the competition. And I remember the day we were standing in line waiting to hear what the result was. I was thinking, oh, my tart was undercooked. I'm pretty sure I'm going home. And I was just thinking to myself, when I get home, I'm going to get my puppy Indy. And that was like the only thing that kept me happy throughout when we were when I was getting eliminated.
I was just crying. Like, Vienna was standing there and I was like, just crying, like bawling my eyes out. Everyone else was fine. And I was just like, okay, don't mind me. I'm just,
Keep the camera off me. Keep the camera off me. No.
I could just feel them zooming in on my face.
A lot of pollen in the garden this week.
Yeah.
There were bees early on. I'm just catching up.
Exactly.
So,
on the bee thing, was that like, would have been a surprise, but did they get your measurements beforehand? You're like, why are they taking my head measurements? Like, what's going on here? No?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
They might have measured, in our application forms, we might have measured for aprons.
I just like the idea. I thought for half a second there you were going to say they might have measured us when we weren't looking. So you're looking at the bench and there's Melissa's just leaning with a tape measure going, don't mind me. Just sizing you in general. It's all good. We're just...
Yeah. Well, we actually went to the benches and opened the mystery box, and then we just held up the bee suit, obviously, for like a little bit, but they had to come in and quickly give us our size of the actual bee suit because
it took us like half an hour to get them on. Like,
yeah, it actually did.
Difficult. Like we were all like scrambling and like pulling over our heads, and like there was so many different like zips and stuff. It was really confusing, but that's okay.
And in terms of being in there, obviously, one of the things being in this, one of the things that everyone sort of commented on was your interactions with the 3 judges just seemed to be absolutely brilliant and a hell of a lot of fun. And the reason I brought that up now is because Andy in the bee suit just looked like he was a kid, like just running around going, I'm in a suit, you're a bee. So how did you find sort of interacting with the 3 of them?
It was,
I think,
crazy.
It was cool.
It was really cool. It was really cool to watch their interactions because obviously we just finished watching the last series before Junior, and obviously they'd been great fun. They'd been a breath of fresh air and be fantastic. But it was like, now what's it going to be like on Junior? And it was almost like you guys gave them an excuse to go in there and just have a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah,
yeah, probably.
It was a lot of fun, and I think that's something that I found. Like, probably one of the highlights is the fact that you could just kind of, like, hang out with the judges and, like, have fun with them and, you know, show them your food and stuff like that, which I thought was really cool. Like, at first I was really nervous about meeting them because I had seen them on TV and stuff, and I didn't know what they were going to be like in real life and stuff. But I remember the first time we met them, they came up to us, they were talking to us, they were super lovely and super nice, and then you know, Jock was messing around and, like, carrying our dishes up to the front with, like a waiter and stuff. And, at first, it was just, like, they were all just so nice. And, like, yeah, like, the first time we met them, they were instantly just our friends.
Yeah, I remember the top 24. Me and Laura were in different groups. But I just remember sitting there and the people were like saying, okay, the judges are going to come soon. And I was saying to my mum, oh my God, the judges are coming. And I was so nervous. And then like they walked in and Mel like she came in like super dramatically. And
in her dress and her high heels.
Yeah, and they were just so nice. And they made everyone feel super comfortable in this really nerve-wracking situation.
Yeah. Like we were waiting for our audition. And I remember, I think I saw Melissa come first. She arrived in the car park. And then walked in and stuff. And then Jock and Andy arrived together. And then they were down on the floor. And I remember looking over the balcony and the hair and makeup lady was, like, putting foundation on them and stuff like that. I didn't realize the guys had to wear makeup too. And it was just so funny.
It was when the woman came out and started doing their nails, you know, like getting extensions on, the bling on the nails. That was really cool, I reckon. I wanted to ask, like, because, obviously you're cooking and then there's time between, filming and stuff. Were there any downtime activities? Like, was there a mad handball tournament?
Well, there was like a little grass. So we had like our green rooms, which was like our break room. They had like 2-minute noodles for philo.
Yes.
Nice.
Like heaps of snacks, like couches, recipe books. We'll just sit in there, chill in there, experiment with the microwave.
Oh yeah.
We made chocolate cake out of Milo and milk. We put
And
it
we
in
also made caramel popcorn.
and caramel popcorn. We found little sugar packets, put them into a mug, found butter,
put it banned from the microwave.
and then we got banned because something burnt. And then so we weren't allowed to experiment anymore.
Junior MasterChef green room is a little bit different to most other green rooms.
Yeah, I can imagine, like, because all the crew must have been so used to having the adults around, they must have found it like chaos. Like all of us just like burning caramel and then like running everywhere. And then we also had like a little grassed area outside of there where we would like me and Vienna, would kick the footy and stuff around. But they had, do you know those like circus plates with the sticks and you can like?
Oh yeah, everyone was obsessed with those.
We were all obsessed with those, trying to like perfect it and stuff. And like as soon as we'd go on break, everyone would run outside, try to get the plates first and like spin them. And
me and Laura were swapping them on our step.
Yeah, we'd like jump them and like catch them and stuff.
Cool. You've got to come back in for a filming now. I've almost got it.
Yeah, exactly.
That was basically it. Yeah.
We forced our parents to do it as well.
Oh yeah, we tried to teach them.
To try to teach them is a nicer way of saying force.
Yes.
I'm thinking of some performative element to your restaurant, Laura, where you have spinning plates, in between courses.
Entertainment.
So in terms of everyone else's dishes, so the question I sort of want to ask about that is there any dish that someone else cooked that you looked at specifically and remember going, wish I'd made that?
Oh, well, actually, after Vienna made her dome, like her white chocolate, like in Amelia's episode, I had been trying forever to practice and learn how to make a dome. I was like, I didn't know how to temper the chocolate. Nothing was working. And I just remember getting on the bus, sitting next to Vienna, and I just asked. I was like, so, how do you make a dome? And then we talked for like half an hour and she was explaining it to me and stuff. And so I've definitely learned a lot from her.
I was going to say pretty much like everything that Laura cooked. I remember on the first day when I saw her little jar with like her shard and the grenade, and I was just thinking, wow, now she is definitely gourmet. And yeah, like literally everything Laura cooked, I was like, damn, I wish I cooked that.
You're like, I'm totally going to have to sabotage. I'm just going to have to, we'll be best friends forever, but I'm just going to bump the grenade a little bit.
No.
Not mean to chef.
It's not means to chef. Also, Vienna, you used Davidson plum at one point. Now, was that a coincidence or did they happen to make mention of the fact they had a lot of Davidson plum left over? Because it had been really popular in the last series of MasterChef as well.
Well, I remember one day on the bus, they literally just had this box from, I think it's like the Australian superfood, and they had Davidson plum powder, desert lime powder, like all this like
random stuff,
Australian native stuff. And I went home and I was thinking, now what do I want to do? And I remember using all my Davidson plum powder, and then Laura actually gave me hers because I was practicing making a curd.
We were in the lift and she was like, Laura, can I borrow your Davidson plum powder? I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and that was very, very helpful.
Well, I suppose it makes a lot of sense, given especially Jock's interest in Australian native foods, that you'd see a lot more Davidson plum. And I mean, it was something that was really good in both your series and the series before yours, because we got to see a lot more ingredients that we don't see a hell of a lot of, and we haven't seen a hell of a lot of. And I think that was something that was really cool. The other thing we saw a lot more of in this series and the last series was camping food.
Yes.
Which segues nicely into a link for you, Laura. So,
yes. So, I feel we have a kinship here, sisterhood of Girl Guides, or Guides as we are known now. I haven't been a member for bloody
a long time.
Long time. They did make a big deal of Ben being a scout.
Yes.
And I'm like, that is not cool. This is what always happens. We know what it's like, Laura. Everyone's like, scout this and scout that. It's like, and guides, we just get around doing our thing.
Yeah, we do.
Yep. Yeah. So, what badges have you got? You already got the cooking badge, I presume.
Well, actually, I didn't realize this. I was watching MasterChef, and you know how Ben didn't get his like cooking badge and all that.
Yeah.
And then I realized, I was like, I don't have mine either. I was like, and then so one night for guides, my guide leader organized that they would interview me for MasterChef, and that was like one of the nights. And then so after that, I asked my leader, I was like, do I actually have a cooking badge? Like, do we actually have one? And she said, what you've done is like far more than that. And then she gave me like a triple trefoil life skills badge or something like that. Yeah. So.
Oh, wow. That is cool. So the uniforms these days, do you guys still have sashes? Because we used to have sashes. Okay, cool. And that's what goes on there. Camping wise, your camp cooking skills, what are we looking at? Girl Guide goulash? Or
I mean, usually I am in charge of cooking. Like, they give each person different jobs, and every time they're like, Laura, okay, your job, like, you're cooking. And so I remember once we went, I can't remember where we went, but I made meatballs. Like, I taught everyone how to make them and stuff, and with a really yummy sauce, which was really good. But every single time we go on a camp, it rains. Like, it pours every single time. I don't know why, it's just our luck. But it was just raining.
Yeah, guide leaders pick the like spring and autumn to go camping in, which is the stupidest time of year to go camping. It's always raining.
I know it does.
Yeah. And the Johnny Appleseed, because like it's technically not a religious organization, but we used to have to sing Grace, and we weren't allowed to sing Johnny Appleseed to the very end because that would technically cause rain. As a joke, we did it one camp. We got flooded out on our first night and ended up sleeping in the boys' toilets.
Oh, one day we got flooded, and I remember we were making golden syrup dumplings. We were just like under a little tent outside, and all of our little bed tents had been flooded. Like, the water was just rushing in there. Our pillows and all that stuff was just damp. And then so we had to evacuate. So we had to like grab our clothes and our bedrolls. And then we went to one of the guide leaders' friend's house and just slept in our lounge and got Macca's in the morning. Like, we took refuge there.
Nice.
That's outstanding.
Yeah. You know, got to improvise. You know, you got to be prepared. Use what you have available.
There you go.
If it's your guide leader's friend's house, so be it.
That's the guide spirit, apparently. And Vienna, obviously, the first episode they talked about, you know, all the things that you've been through in the last couple of years as well. Did you get a lot of sort of feedback from people on that
journey as well?
That journey that you've been through?
Well, actually, I went to the hospital for just checkups, and literally everybody, all my doctors is like, oh, Vienna, yes, she's been on Junior MasterChef and asking me all about it. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people.
Cook us some lunch.
Through the appointment door. Just don't wait. Just right through. No waiting. No waiting. Because I think that was one of the things too. And again, we talked a lot before about the idea of everyone being so calm and composed, and also everyone in there being so sort of selfless. And I think that's what came through in your first sort of story and voiceover, was like when you were talking about, my family's been through a lot and they've had a really hard time, and obviously they have. But I'm sitting there going, so you. But that again was that compassion, and I think that sort of came through in the food that you prepared over the course of the show, and especially your reasons behind it, and especially the lemon tart. So talk to me about that lemon tart, which is better than racist. I'm going to say that straight up.
Well, yeah, I mean, the actual curd was my great-grandma's recipe, but we tried like multiple times because they told us you have to cook a signature dish for the audition. Mm-hmm. So I tried multiple different recipes from recipe books and online, and like we just couldn't get it right. It was either too sour or too sweet. And then we finally got this one from my great-grandma, and she tried it. My grandma, not my great-grandma. And she tried it, my grandma, and she loved it. And then my brother tried it, and he went mind blown. And that's when I knew I had the perfect dish to bring into MasterChef.
It looks super impressive. It just looks delicious. It's one of those times where food jumps through the TV at you.
Is this now how you bribe your brother to do things for you? It's like, hey, you do this, I'll make you lemon curd. The lemon tart is coming.
Yeah, well, I'm making him food a lot.
You do that, and Laura just signs them to death contracts.
Yeah, I just make sure that they do what I say.
Forces you into a contract, and you're just like, I'll make you something nice. Laura's like, contract.
Yeah.
Contract.
And I did it when my little brother was like 4 as well, so we had no idea what he was doing. I mean,
No, he did. It's legally binding.
yes, sure.
Rightly
Sure.
Aware.
He was completely in control of his faculty.
Yeah.
Perfectly valid.
He definitely wants to work for me. Out of his own will.
It's
Yeah.
dream.
It's now a family business.
Maitre d' at the restaurant has a nice ring. Just there you go. Add it to the floor plan.
He's the host.
Add it to the floor plan. Coming out of MasterChef, obviously, is there any dish that you sort of are looking forward towards in terms of something where you're like, there's one dish or something you're like, that's the next thing I need to get right?
I guess I would say a pumpkin tart because I didn't get that right. But yeah, actually, you'd probably think I'd want to like perfect that because I got eliminated off it. But honestly, it's kind of scarred me. I'm not okay with pumpkin anymore.
No, I'd be perfectly okay in never making it again.
I understand, Vienna. I was on a show called Vidiot when I was about your age, and I could have tied for the lead if I'd have got the question, what sport is Tom Carroll famous for, right? And now I can't look at both golf or surfing because I answered golf and he is a surfer. So I feel that pain, yeah.
When we did that taste test and I got avocado wrong, I don't know how, but that's fine. I was like, as soon as I like walked out of that room, I was like, I'm never eating avocado again, like ever. I can't.
That puts you in good stead because apparently it's avocado that stops you from being able to afford a house. So
Yeah, you're fine.
sure, you can afford your house and your restaurant. You're sorted.
Well, my mum calls me Pumpkin as like a pet name sometimes, and sometimes even Pumpkin Pie. And every time she does it, I'm like, don't call me that. I don't want to be called Pumpkin.
Can we change that up? Can I be White Chocolate Dome?
Yes.
I don't know, Laura, do you have a dish that you sort of look towards and go, that's my next?
Well, as soon as I got eliminated and I was in quarantine for 2 weeks, like in hotel quarantine, and there was no kitchen in there. So I remember as soon as I got out, I cooked something that day, like, because I just needed to cook something. But because of my cake business, one of the people who requested something, she asked for a lemon meringue themed cake. Ooh. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. And so as the filling, I did the lemon cream that I got wrong on MasterChef and then perfected it. Very happy about that. Nice. So I definitely wanted to make sure that I got that right. But obviously, like, I'd been working on a couple of dishes for a while now. And for Christmas, actually, my parents got me quite a few like cooking utensils and stuff, like new tart tins and lots of ingredients that are quite hard to find. Like, I wanted to do a dish which was like chocolate mousse with like a mixed berry jam, and it was like laid between cinnamon biscuits. And there are these things called like Fulatine flakes. They're like little crunchy pieces, and you can't find them anywhere. And so I got quite a few like obscure ingredients like that for Christmas, which I can now practice with and make some dishes up and experiment. And I definitely want to this holidays try and make Amelia's compressed choux pastry. So that's my goal.
That's an aim. That's an aim.
I'm just imagining your parents doing I don't know if you remember the old movie Jingle All the Way, where Arnold Schwarzenegger had to go and get a specific doll for his kid on Christmas Eve, but your parents running through the stores trying to find the fewer ingredients. Christmas will be ruined if I do.
If I don't get the Davidson plum, we're over. So just before we finish up, the last thing I wanted to ask you is, why do you think that no other series of MasterChef has worked out how to game those taste tests as well as your series did, by working out that you could just eat everything and hold off on the guessing? And the other one was the once the gong was given out, obviously, it was the brilliant bit of moment of, I can just go into the pantry, just eat a bunch of stuff, walk out and hit the gong, and I'm okay. Why has no one else?
to do.
Why has no one else worked this out?
You're
I
child
know.
geniuses.
I think that's the best answer. It's one of the things that I think everyone was stunned about is you guys are talking about the taste testing and then like Philo going back and just getting more and just saying, I know the answer. I'm just eating.
That's just Philo.
And nobody else has worked this out. And
this is why you need children, you know, to kind of, you know, stretch the boundaries and look
Brutally honest.
and, think out of the box.
And we've spoken to a couple of other contestants, including, I can mention this, I spoke, Elena Duggan, former winner, and was talking to Elena about that. And she's like, that was brilliant. Didn't ever think of that. That was absolutely
like, I think you guys have left a lasting legacy on MasterChef. From now on, we're going to be seeing a lot more people getting, you know, little snacks to take away, little long, just, brilliant. I wanted to ask, because basically you've got time now between MasterChef and when you need to do your work experience, you know, plague pending. Have you looked at any particular restaurants? Are you eyeing off job going, come on, dude, like, you know, sous chef here, just put me on the line. Or, you know, Vienna, you could be going, look, Melbourne Zoo, like, is this going to be a great thing? I'll cook for you. You just put me in gorillas, whatever, just Jane Fossey.
Well, I would, if I could like have experience anywhere, I'd probably want to work a bit at Reynolds Dessert Bar Koi, because that's kind of what I want to do. If I go down a food path with my job, I would want to have a dessert bar and do stuff like what Reynolds does. But I also have some connections at Movida, so maybe I could get in there.
That's a good one. Laura, where would you can pick anywhere for your work experience. Where are you going?
Well, when I graduate high school, I want to go to Le Cordon Bleu, which is like the cooking school. There's one in Brisbane up here, so I'm going to go there and study for a couple of years. Maybe, because they have two different courses. There's like the cuisine, which is like savory, and patisserie, which is dessert, and I want to do both. I don't really know if there's like one style that I prefer. But like as we were leaving MasterChef, I remember Marty, the producer, talking to us saying that like you're part of the MasterChef family now, which I thought was really cool. He said, you know, you can ring up anyone anytime, they'll give you some help. Like it's a special connection you have with other contestants. Like I recently went to Adelaide and met Laura, the adult Laura, and you know, I was freaking out. It was so cool, but like it's cool to see that you have a special like relationship with and connection with them that not a lot of people have. And so if you ever need to like go to them and ask for help or ask for work experience, you can do that. Like when I met Callum as well while I was in Adelaide, he was just like, oh yeah, so when you're a bit older you can come for some work experience here as well. And I was like, oh sweet, okay.
Once it's no longer illegal, once the child labour laws are passed.
Yeah.
Like you still do your work experience in year 10 where you have to do that week working somewhere?
Still a little bit off that.
Oh, okay, you're a bit off that. But you've got time, you know, Adelaide's not too far. Hopefully, you know, plague will be over. What is it like being young and living in plague? Like, this is, like, it's like...
Kristie finishing on a high note.
I know. I guess it gives you time at home to be in the kitchen.
I mean, to be honest, it's not that bad because I just stayed at home and cooked a bunch, especially because we were actually at MasterChef when it was like the worst.
The worst, yeah.
So it wasn't too bad for me. And I mean, I've been in isolation before. So
yeah,
I don't know. It was kind of, everyone was like complaining and I was like, well.
You're like, I've been there.
Cooking. I'm like, guys, just get yourself some good Xbox games.
Yeah. Like, I definitely wouldn't have cooked as much and practiced as much if it wasn't for COVID and, like, the lockdown and stuff. Like, yeah, exactly. I did half my practicing and half my cooking throughout all of that. So I reckon if I had more stuff on, I definitely wouldn't have got as far in the competition as I have because I wouldn't have had the amount of time to practice.
Well, it's one of the things that I can say on behalf of a lot of people is that Junior MasterChef got a hell of a lot of people through a really rough patch of COVID. Yeah. And you were a very large part of doing that. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate having the time to have a chat with both of you. And I know that this has been something that a lot of people on Twitter have been asking us to do. So we've been really happy to do it. Thanks a lot, girls. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you for having us.
Not a problem. So until next time, I'm still Chris.
I'm still Kristie.
And we will catch you all later.